Now we're going to talk with our folks at Reverie, our friends that we've known for a long time, Damien and Jonah.
My name is Damien Pelliccioni. I'm the CEO and one of 4 fabulous co-founders of Reverie. We are the world's largest and only queer global streaming network. We're in over 100 countries today, and we've been downloaded hundreds of times, thousands of times all over the world. I want to talk a little bit, of course, and kind of introduce you to what we're doing and how it's different in the market and the real exciting opportunities, of course, as we scale into the younger generations. This is probably nothing new to this room. In the United States alone, the LGBTQ or queer market spends over $917 billion in expendable income. Globally, $4.3 trillion. But really what we focus on at Reverie is the scaling opportunity for the next generation of queer consumer. And you'll hear me say queer and not LGBTQ because we love to focus on the culture of queer, which is more inclusive of every gender, every race, every body type, every walk of life, you name it. Gen X, about 15%, hard identify as LGBTQIA. 35% of millennials will not be heterosexual, and about 20% will hard identify as LGBTQIA. Now, millennials today make up over 50% of global consumer purchasing power, 50%. But what's even bigger, twice the population of millennials, is the next generation, Generation Z, or if you're from England or Canada like me, we'll say Z. 52% actually will be non-binary, not declare gender, not declare sexual orientation, right? They want the inclusiveness that is the word of culture, the queer culture. And really, this is the opportunity for the future because I'll tell you, when they grow up and they start to buy cars and they start to buy houses and they scale, they're going to be the most lucrative demographic on this planet. The 2 demographics, Millennial and Gen Z, will make up over 75% of global consumer purchasing power by 2030. In just 1 decade, 75% of all of consumer purchasing power will be those 2 demographics. Now, how does this work when it comes to media? So we always, we're a streaming network. We're on a number of different devices. But let's look at cable TV, right? Just the intersectionality of cable TV in terms of the generations. When we look at these statistics, the most important thing that stands out to me is the people who still have broadcast television, that big box from Time Warner, Cox, or Spectrum, whatever your service provider is. The average age of that is 62 years old. 62 years old. And the reason why is because grandma, grandpa have not been taught how to use an Apple TV yet, right? So we are obviously looking at the different ways in which content can engage with our community and reach those targets. So it's really important to understand the different acronyms. My husband, Chris, always makes fun of me that I speak in acronyms because I work in the entertainment industry and we talk very fast. But we need to understand this as marketers and as advertisers. OTT stands for over-the-top television. That is any connected TV device like your smart TVs, your Apple TVs, your Chromecasts. SVOD is subscription video on demand. Everyone has probably a subscription to Netflix. They're an SVOD-only product that they have one way in which to engage with their content. AVOD is ad video on demand. So this would be kind of like what Hulu used to be, or what YouTube is, where you can engage with content that's ad-supported. TVOD is transactional video on demand. So this is a one-time purchase. When you rent American Horror Story on iTunes, or when you rent it on Amazon. And then the vMVPDs, the virtual cable providers, or VCTV, would be like the Pluto TVs of the world. Have you guys all seen those black and yellow free TV billboards all across New York that say Pluto TV? Has anyone seen those? Probably even in Los Angeles. That is the future of how we will engage with cable. It's virtual, right? It's all in an app. It's all cloud-driven. There's no more satellites. There's no more telcos. There's no more uplinks. All of that is a thing of the past. Now, this gets a little crazy because you're probably looking at this like, oh my God, there's 1,000,001 different ways that you can engage with content, buy content, produce content, and distribute content. So the intersection of all of this is just going to get bigger as we see Disney streaming coming to the market, as we have your Hulu subscription, your Netflix subscription, you have so many different subscriptions to services, right? But the way in which the younger generations and the next generations engage are really going to be device-driven. Reverie currently is a digital broadcast network, and by the end of this year, we'll be reaching over 660 million homes in 4 continents. Currently, we're in 50 million homes. We have live channels on Pluto TV. We're actually the first LGBTQ network on Pluto TV, channel 543. You can watch a live feed of broadcast television right now. We just launched on Comcast, made the announcement in February on Cheddar News, and it's live right now. We're actually in all the Xfinity stores across the United States as their prime promotion for Pride Month. Zumo TV, which is Pluto's competitor, they're baked into LG, SmartSets, Vizio, Sony, Hitachi, Hayat. Zapping TV, Pluto's competitor, which is in LATAM and Latin America. They're a free consumer live product. And then we're launching very soon TiVo, Viewed, Metrologic, which is Liberty Global in the UK. And we just closed PlayStation, Philo, and another Viacom property, which I can't really say, in India. So we have our owned and operated apps outside of our digital broadcast. Our owned and operated apps are a hybrid. They're a hybrid of ad-supported, subscription-supported, and transactional. So you can engage any which way you want. You can watch completely for free. Download the app right now, pull out your phones, and you can watch with commercials. If you don't want commercials, you'll have a subscription for $6.99 a month, and you'll have a greater access to our library, and of course, no commercials. And then transactional, we have one-time purchases with some of our bigger flagship shows like The Drag Roast of Heclina. I want to give you guys just a little preview of some of the content that you can find on Reverie.
Diamonds in my, diamonds in my, diamonds in my mouth. Diamonds in my mouth. Diamonds in my mouth. Diamonds in my mouth.
Thanks. That is actually our marketing campaign. You'll see us on the streets on Sunday wearing #unapologeticallyqueer t-shirts. We feel like it's a political statement, but not only that, it really reflects the identity and the mission of our company. Today, Reverie has over 4,000 hours of content, movies, TV shows, podcasts. We actually have the largest collection of indie queer music videos outside of a mainstream service like Vivo. We're a point of curation, we're a point of discovery for all gender identities, walks of life, all sexual orientations for our community. And these are just some of the intersections of content that we have. Now, Reverie is so much more than just a streaming network. We actually have a really big experiential component called QueerX, now in its 4th year. And I'm gonna bring up our Director of Communications and the Director of QueerX, Mr. Jonah Bleckman.
Thank you, Damien. I'm gonna hang out back here. Oh, thanks. And because I had a breath to actually do this, so I'm gonna just be with you all. Well, as Damien was saying, QueerX is Reverie's experiential festival, which engages, celebrates, and connects. And that X stands for the intersection of music, film, industry, and culture, inclusive of all identities, fostering connection, empowering voices, and as Flaunt magazine said, we're the South by Southwest, but queer. For us, we're not focused on LGBT as separate distinctions, but queer culture as a unified, all-inclusive community that spans every letter, including our straight allied brothers and sisters. The first and only of its kind, QueerX, is a 3-day festival with over 5,000 attendees that kicks off LA Pride Week in the heart of West Hollywood, with an opening night concert at the iconic Whiskey A Go-Go, followed by screenings of over 100 international films, music videos, incredible panels like the amazing Sex and Body Positivity panel, hosted by Playboy and Out Magazine. Each day also includes a powerhouse industry pitch fest, where attendees get to pitch face-to-face their dream projects to top industry development execs and agencies from companies like IFC, Soul Pancake, Funny or Die. And last year alone, we had 4 of our pitchers' projects got development out of the fest. With over 60 press outlets covering and sponsorship supported by Fortune 500 companies like Lexus, the festival has created a cutting-edge environment for a top-tier audience that includes not only enthusiasts, but the highest profile LGBT influencers, creators, and industry execs in the world. QueerX, their audience is an audience of influencers who are powerhouse brand ambassadors themselves, getting upwards near $200,000 per post or $300,000 per YouTube video. These are our attendees and also our honorees. The festival concludes with our star-studded Reverie Visibility Awards, honoring representation in the community. This past year, we honored trans makeup entrepreneur Nikita Dragon, whose subs include over 5 million on Instagram. We also honored and screened activist Raymond Braun's film, which opened South by Southwest, called State of Pride, which was directed by two-time Oscar winners. Last year, we honored Imagine Dragons frontman Dan Reynolds, who has 14 million YouTube followers. We also hosted the West Coast premiere of Dan's HBO documentary Believer at YouTube Space LA. And then the year before that, we had the West Coast premiere of Gigi Gorgeous's documentary, also at YouTube Space LA, from another two-time Oscar-winning director. This year, the awards gala was sponsored by the Tourism Office of Spain, along with a queer vodka and a queer gin company. We had a selfie cookie making activation, as well as a cannabis bar offering free organic hand-rolled joints. It was everything that QueerX authentically is, and here's a little view into QueerX.
Not ready, I get it, don't want complications. You gotta focus on yourself. You can, so no worries, it's all good, no hurry. Your heart belongs to someone else. You know I'm always here to keep you company. But I can't help but feel it's not enough for me. Maybe I don't wanna be just friends, see you only on the weekends. Sorry, hope you understand, I like you a little too much for that. Maybe I don't wanna be just friends, always hearing about your ex. Sorry, there's no going back, I like you a little too much for that. Maybe I don't wanna be. If I'm such a nice guy and you had a great time, why don't we kick it up a notch? How about you come over, move into me closer, and let my hands give it a shot. You know I'm always here to keep you company. But I can't help but feel it's not enough for me. Maybe I don't wanna be just friends, see you only on the weekend. Sorry, hope you understand, I like you a little too much for that. Maybe I don't wanna be just friends, always hearing about your ex. Sorry, there's no going back, I like you a little too much for that. Maybe I don't wanna be just friends, just friends, just friends. Maybe I don't wanna be just friends, just friends, just friends. Maybe I don't wanna be.
And that's QueerX. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonah. So book your tickets for next year. We are going to be the last weekend in May. Come join us. Submit your projects. Jonah would love to talk to you if you're a brand or an agency, because obviously we are now booking spots for next year as well. The last two things I want to touch on is, of course, and you're going to hear this a lot, and I appreciate the gentleman who came before me, that representation really matters today more than anything. Before I got to New York City, I had the pleasure of speaking as a keynote speaker at Kashish Film Festival in Mumbai. I actually flew on that Air India direct flight to Newark about a Sunday ago. And I had the pleasure of talking to some of the queer filmmakers there in Bombay. And we have an original project called The Other Love Story, which was the first Hindi, English, lesbian drama to ever kind of hit the international seas. What was really unique was these queer women that I met. We were talking about the community, and for those who don't know, in India, they just had the repeal of Section 377, which meant now to be LGBTQ is no longer a crime. So you can only imagine they had their Stonewall only a year ago. So the movement there is just now starting to take off. But what really blew my mind and why representation in media matters so much is when I talked to them about how do you engage and find girlfriends or people to date in the community, they said, well, Tinder's really the only space for us that's actually embraced our community because they allow you to filter for lesbian on the app. When she showed it to me, every single profile had a screenshot of the other love story. Because, of course, discretion is still a thing there in India. She said, of course, they're fearful still to not have rights that protect them for their jobs, for their homes and their families that may or may not accept them. And so they use images from our original project in order to identify themselves as queer women. That changed my life. Changed my life because it goes to show you that media can make an impact, and we can do this on a global level. And it really starts from the top down. These are my 4 fabulous co-founders. I'm an equal partner. I'm 1/4 owner. We are 50% women of color founded, 75% POC founded. It's great to have 2 lawyers, by the way, on your team. Aaliyah and Chris are lawyers. But we started this business with a mission to really, truly reflect the identity of our community, which is not me, a white cisgender gay man. And to really drive that forward and to make impact and strides on a global level for our community, because right now, more than ever, representation matters, and it starts from the top. So even if you are a media company here, I encourage you, I actually engage you, I challenge you to hire everybody of every race, of every orientation, and allow them to have a voice and make changes with your business, because it will accelerate your growth and it'll make a big difference on the impact that our community, our queer culture can have on a global scale. The last thing I'll show you is we were so proud last Thursday to be named App of the Day from the Apple App Store. Chris and I were actually at the CMI convention with Matt and everybody, some of the folks I recognize in the room, at the Google building last Thursday doing a presentation. We were being interviewed by press, and the guy said to me, he looked at me, he's like, so how's it feel to be the app of the day? And we're like, excuse me? We have no idea. This came out of nowhere, right? But again, it's a validation and an affirmation that what we're doing is changing hearts and minds and really driving what the mission of our business forward. So we would love to meet you. We'd love to work with your brand. We'd love to license your content. We'd love to talk to all of you. We don't exist without our community being a part of this. And we want to thank you so much for listening to our presentation.